insane?
If you would...
Hello, fellow travelers, and welcome to Misfit Peacock Radio Theater.
A lighthouse at the end of the world.
Today, our story comes from an apocalypse centuries in the making.
There will be danger, drama, and best of all, spaceships.
So we invite you to come inside.
Leave whatever in time you're running from at the door, and enjoy the fleet.
Earth, home to humanity for millennia, now uninhabitable. Humanity has taken to the stars in massive spaceships known as starliners. Now we wander through space in search of a new home. Until such time, we will only know of life in the fleet.
Hello and thank you for your cooperation. You have willingly submitted to questioning by Overfleet Investigative Services in relation to the hijacking of Starliner class vessel the Olympia. Your statement will be recorded and submitted to an investigating officer, then cataloged with the investigation file. The recording began the moment you pushed play on this message. If further questioning is required, an Overfleet representative will contact you directly. Please begin your statement by giving your name and involvement in the relative incident. Please be as detailed as possible.
My name is Simon Duna. I guess the simplest description of my involvement is witness. It's my first day on the job as a courier, and I was nearly sent to a completely different Starliner to help an understaffed station. Instead, I was sent to the Olympia to track down a package. Should have been simple. Something I, the new guy, could do on cruise control to get used to my new position. Things started out that way. I was waiting near the Olympia for docking permission. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. You got this, Simon. You are an officer of the law. You got this. Hello? This is Simon Duna, Courier Sergeant, requesting docking permission from Starliner class ship 0029, the Olympia, over.
Good morning, Sergeant Duna. We do require all Interfleet officers to provide their clearance code before they receive docking orders.
Oh, right. Clearance code 9-517.
Thank you, Sergeant. Sit tight. We'll get back to you as soon as possible.
Now we wait. My name is Simon Duna. No. I am Sergeant Duna with the Interfleet Courier Services. I am Sergeant Simon. No.
Do you feel safe with just your local security officers watching your back? Neither do I. That's why I started Reznov's Recyclers. We take old scraps from decommissioned Starliners and make them into state-of-the-art defensive weaponry. We've got stun blasters made from the Manhattan. We've got body armor made from the Nairobi. And we've had hard-knuckle gloves from the Verona. All of this made out of 100% Starliner recycled material, so you know they're made of tough stuff. Call Reznov's Recyclers today to save...
The Verona reduced to overpriced brass knuckles. What a disgrace.
We continue to follow reports of a grisly murder that occurred early this morning aboard medical satellite ship The Benevolence in the northeast quadrant. The Benevolence was in place to host an Overfleet military executive who was there to undergo surgery for an experimental brain implant. The surgery was supposed to be performed by Dr. Turner, but Dr. Turner was delayed in reaching The Benevolence and authorized a Dr. Kira Smith to take his place. Details are still being confirmed, but we do know that at some point during the surgery, Dr. Smith intentionally killed his patient and fled the scene.
Sergeant Duna, this is
Smith
Security
now headed
Captain
towards-
Andrew Sykes. I'm acting on behalf of the party whose package has been lost. We're going to have you dock in one of our shuttle bays reserved for Olympia security.
Thank you, Captain, but it hardly seems necessary to involve local security to this extent. Chain of possession states...
I know the details of your chain of possession. I have no intent of handling the package myself, but the party I represent is very anxious. They want me to update them with regular reports. I will appreciate it if you can loop me in as your investigation continues.
Sure thing.
Then you are cleared for docking. Please proceed to Station 625 and follow standard docking procedures. We hope you enjoy your time on the Olympia.
It was strange that a security official contacted me directly, but I didn't think much of it. I guess I figured all starliners are a little different with their interpretation of fleet doctrine. I was just glad not to have to wait in line any longer. Plus, I was immediately distracted by the Olympia. That shining gold hull was completely unique in the entirety of the fleet, and I got to fly closer than most. I was so close, I swear it could have stretched on for an eternity in every direction. A pure gold blanket of space. Anyway, I cruised along the hull till I reached the dock, shut down my thrusters, and let inertia propel me into place. Once in place, I got a message over the radio saying, "On behalf of the Olympia, thank you for coming." Then something about making sure I check out the food market when I have the chance, and an apology for the abrasive pilot worshipper. Nothing I gave much thought to at the time. From there it was pretty standard. I stepped aboard the Olympia and headed straight for the local dispatch station. Hello! Do you know the Olympia is home to the largest vertical transportation platform in the fleet?
What?
Most starliners opted for several small elevators to get people from deck to deck, but the engineers for the Olympia were inspired by mythology from ancient Earth that tells the story of these gods that created the world. So they opted for something more grand to mimic the climb to the top of those gods' kingdom. It's a marvel the lift still functions after all this time.
Do you need help with something, or are you trying to flirt with me?
No, not at all. Well, I do need help with something. I'm Simon Duna, Sergeant Courier for the Northeast Sector. I'm here to track down a missing package.
Okay, can I see some kind of ID?
Sure, here's my badge. And your name is?
Pandora. What do you need from me?
Let's start with your ledger for shipments coming from the Mumbai and a route map for local couriers.
I'll be right back with that.
Why did I lead with that random fact?
Here you go, Sergeant. These data pads should have the most up-to-date information.
Thanks.
So, you know anything about that guy who murdered his patient this morning?
I don't know anything more than what the news has reported. Sergeant couriers aren't really that different from normal couriers. We're just another cog in the wheel.
Oh. I guess I thought you might be different or something.
Why's that?
The way you approached me with that random tidbit about the lift. I thought you were an undercover cop.
Oh. No, sorry to disappoint you, but I'm just a regular courier.
Yeah. You like it? Being a cog in the wheel?
I do. I'm not cut out to be much more, and I feel like I'm helping keep the wheel turning in a way that benefits everyone. What can people count on if not their mail?
That's nice. I want to be a chef, but I'm still saving up for classes.
That's nice.
You'll let me know if you do hear more about the crazy doctor? The news said he was last seen heading in the direction of the Olympia, and my girlfriend keeps telling me to look out because he's probably coming here to hide on the bottom deck.
Why here?
There's an abandoned residential deck here, with all these living quarters that look like houses from old Earth. It'd be a good place to hide out. Olympia security never goes down there.
It would be a good place for a murderer to hide out, but he'd still have to make it quite a ways to get down there. Trust me, if Dr. Smith does head this way, he'll be space dust before he even steps aboard.
Good point.
One last thing. According to the ledger, Admiral Shanti's package was intended for someone with the last name Woods. There isn't anyone I could find with that name on this Starliner, but there is a business nearby owned by Spiros Woodson, who just received a delivery yesterday. I figure the package may have simply been misplaced because of a typo. Can you point me in the right direction?
Head towards the central power lift, you know where that is, and then take a right once you get past the market.
Thanks.
No problem.
I started heading in the direction Pandora showed me. I was immediately approached by a pilot worshiper and had trouble shaking them. They went on for a while about how the pilots would deliver us to a new Eden, and they quoted that prayer at me. The one about losing a nail and all that. Every ship has got them, but this guy was particularly zealous. I really don't get the whole Lorenz pilot religion that's been gaining traction lately. The pilots are just a bunch of working stiffs like the rest of us, putting in their time so they can retire in luxury. Besides, reducing them to a religious object seems like a disservice to humanity. Isn't it more impressive that a normal blood and guts human is capable of steering a ship large enough to hold an entire civilization? I didn't say any of that to the man. I just ignored him till he went away. I decided to take a slight detour to the food market since the welcoming voice mentioned it. I can't say I was particularly impressed by the offerings. There was a lot of synthetic meats and vegetables that you find on any Starliner. I was about to move on when one of the vendors grabbed my arm and pulled me over to his cart, saying something about, on behalf of the Olympia, welcome. Then he offered me some kebabs. When I refused, he gave me a serious look and dropped his voice down to a whisper. He told me that there was someone following me. I laughed at first. Why would anyone be stalking me? But then he pointed someone out in the crowd. A guy wearing clothes that didn't fit him right. Like he'd gotten them from a much smaller man's wardrobe. Normally, I would have brushed it off. But the man's intimidating appearance and the fact that he had the bottom half of his face covered had me on edge. So I decided to listen to what the vendor told me to do. He had me buy some food and walk away slowly, as if I hadn't noticed anything. Then he distracted the stranger. Once I heard him shout about his wares, then that was my cue to start running. I didn't know for sure at the time, but I thought it might have been Kira Smith. I disregarded the thought, though. I figured the emergency broadcast and my conversation with Pandora just had me spooked. I didn't get a good look at him anyway. I just saw a man with the bottom half of his face covered. I should have listened to my gut.
Just head to the 3rd floor and go straight down the hallway. He's not in today, but he never locks his door.
Thank you. Let's see. Right where she said it'd be? On the desk. This is it? Oh wow, it's password protected. Sorry, if you're looking for Mr. Woodson, he's... Who are you? I am an officer of the Interfleet Courier Services. Any attack on me or attempt to steal this package are punishable by law. You're Kira Smith, right? Listen, I don't know what you want from me, but I can't help you. I thought for sure I was done for, but some of my old military instincts kicked in. As he lunged, I grabbed the nearest pointy object I could find, I dropped to my knees, and I drove the point up towards him. No idea if I hit anything important. He didn't make a sound, but it was enough to give me time to run, which I did, right to the nearest security station. A fat lot of good that did me. Actually, if anyone from Olympia Security is listening, I want them to know they should go jump down a sewage pipe. You know, I found out later that someone else was almost sent to the Olympia. My boss had 2 new sergeants and 2 new assignments. A missing package aboard the Olympia, and a dispatch station in need of an extra pair of hands for the day. She flipped a coin to decide who got what. A coin flip put me in the middle of all this.
Good morning and welcome to Lights On, presented by Fleet Public Radio, the show that's here to help wake you up to what's going on throughout the fleet. This morning we have a very special guest. I'd like to introduce Dr. Leon. What exactly are you a doctor of?
I'm a statistician, a doctor of numbers.
That's right, folks. We have fleet-renowned statistician Dr. Leon here with us this morning. What are you here to discuss, Doctor?
I'm here to raise awareness of the rapid loss of our most precious resource, our starliners.
You feel they are in danger?
I know they are. We have very detailed records of every single starliner that left Earth centuries ago. And we have records of when any of them were decommissioned. I've been comparing the rate at which starliners have been lost on a year-to-year basis, and my findings are alarming.
Have we lost more in recent years than before?
Considerably more. When we look at the data, we see the most decommissions in the fleet's first year, primarily at the time of our first ever lightspeed jump. After that, the number of losses drops steadily over the years until it levels out at 1.5 decommissions every 5 years.
Around the time of a new lightspeed jump.
Correct. But the numbers have begun to increase. We've lost a starliner every year for the last 4 years, with the most recent loss being the Verona.
Does anything in your research point to the cause of this increase?
Nothing concrete yet, but I suspect that it has everything to do with how resources are shared among the starliners. Our fuel resources, replacement parts, knowledge of how these things work, it's all spread too thin. It's no secret the planet we are currently orbiting lacked the abundance of resources we were promised. If our next lightspeed jump doesn't take us to a planet with more resources or with the ability to sustain human life, then our starliners will continue to crumble one by one.
Hello and thank you for your cooperation. You have willingly submitted to questioning by Overfleet Investigative Services in relation to the hijacking of Starliner class vessel the Olympia. Your statement will be recorded and submitted to an investigating officer, then cataloged with the investigation filed. The recording began the moment you pushed play on this message. If further questioning is required, an Overfleet representative will contact you directly. Please begin your statement by giving your name and involvement in the relative incident. Please be as detailed as possible.
Be the nail. Be the nail. Okay. My name is Maura Salvi, and I am responsible for boarding the Olympia, illegally gaining access to the Olympia bridge, illegally impersonating a Verona official, and assaulting an Olympia security officer. But I am in no way taking responsibility for the hijacking of the Olympia or the attack on its pilot. I boarded the Olympia by stowing away on a fuel supply ship, then made my way to the bridge by crawling through the Olympia's centralized ventilation system. Once on board the bridge, I snuck into a party involving most of Olympia Command, as well as representatives from several of its sister ships. I didn't have an invitation, so I waited by the pilot's door until an opportunity presented itself. Please, Saint of Olympia, help me be the nail today.
Excuse me, ma'am. The event is this way. Guests are not allowed in this part of the bridge.
My apologies, officer. I couldn't resist stopping by the pilot's door. Standing here, it's like you can sense every inch of surface space on this ship. You really get a sense of scale when you stand here. I'm sure I sound ridiculous. Do you mind escorting me back to the party?
Of course, ma'am.
I didn't get your name, officer.
Andrew. Captain Andrew.
Do you work events like this often?
This is my first time, actually. Senior officers always pull rank and insist on working them, but I'm one of the senior officers now, so it was my turn to insist on the luxurious job.
Is it everything you'd hoped it would be?
The food is outstanding as advertised, and the conversation is boring. The guests are certainly more beautiful than expected.
Sorry, Captain, but I'm here for business.
I apologize.
No apology necessary, but I am here as a guest of your ambassadors, so I need to keep things professional.
I thought these events were just for local administration.
Normally, yes. I asked the ambassador to make an exception for me. I am here to speak on the Verona refugee issue.
You're from the Verona?
Yes, I was born there. I spent some time in Overfleet military, but left after the Verona was decommissioned to help with refugee logistics.
My mother lived on the Verona. Fortunately, she had us to come to after its decommission. Good luck with your speech, Miss
Maura.
Maura.
Where is he? Don't panic. Take your time. Be the nail.
That is a lovely gown.
Oh, thank you. I love yours too. Very gold.
Thank you. It's a Severinius Regalius original. It is woven from organic cotton fibers grown on the Xinjiang. Who are you wearing?
It's a Salvi original.
I don't believe I'm familiar with that designer. How can I request one for myself?
They're a new designer, up and coming. I tell you what, if you help me find Ambassador Velatos, I'll pass along your request personally.
I just saw the ambassador entertaining some guests over by the hors d'oeuvres.
Thank you. I'll be sure to let Miss Salvi know you're interested, Mr.
Sir Patrick Barres.
Sir Barres. Thank you. Ambassador Velatos.
Yes?
I represent the millions of refugees left homeless after the decommissioning of the Verona. Right now, those millions are searching desperately for a home. You can give...
Maura Salvi.
Damn.
Maura Salvi, will you please come with me?
Sorry, Mr. Andrew, but I have business with...
You don't have business with anyone. You are not a guest of the ambassadors. I don't know what your goal is here, but you most certainly won't be talking to anyone else.
Listen to me, Andrew. I am here to help the Verona refugees. I need to...
What you need to do is come with me. Whether it is quietly or in handcuffs is up to you.
Fine. Take me in. He took me to a holding cell in the bridge security station. Gave me a change of clothes. They were a lovely convict brown, and left me in my cell. I was alone there for 8 hours, just me and my thoughts. During that time, I came to the conclusion that I am a complete failure and irrational fool. I was too desperate. I'd been trying to get a meeting with the Olympia's ambassador for months. They have the space to accommodate thousands of our refugees from the Verona, and I thought if I could just explain the situation that maybe he'd listen. So I thought if he wouldn't take an official meeting with me, that maybe I could force him to listen. Looking back now, I see how foolish of a plan it was, but at that moment, I thought it was the only way. I'd spent so long trying to help Verona refugee efforts. found homes for some, a few hundred to a starliner here, or a large satellite vessel there, but it barely made a dent in the millions still living in temporary evacuation shuttles. The last straw came when I met this kid, a boy no older than 4. He looked up at me with these big brown eyes and asked, "When can I go home?" So I took a leap of faith and landed flat on my face.
Stand up. Come with me.
What is this about? I'd like to make a call.
Right now, you're going to be answering some of my questions.
Are you interrogating me?
Sit. I'm required to notify you that this interrogation is being recorded. Please acknowledge, for the record, that you understand.
I understand.
Please state your full name and residence.
Maura Salvi. Previously, the Verona. Currently, a fuel transport vessel named Mercedes.
Is that how you gained access to the Olympia?
Yes. I stowed away with their cargo when it was dropped off.
How did you gain access to the bridge?
The ventilation system. The Olympia is one of the only starliners that uses a centralized ventilation system. Most others have localized oxygen supplies in individual cabins, but the Olympia just has the one massive unit. That means there's a ventilation system connecting the entire ship. It's a long trek, but not a perilous one as long as you aren't squeamish about small spaces.
And what was your purpose in infiltrating the Olympia?
Infiltrating? Don't I get some sort of legal representation?
No.
Legally, you are required to allow me representation.
Unless you are suspected of inciting or intending to incite mutiny.
That's why you're keeping me here? You think I'm attempting to hijack the Olympia? On my own?
I'm sure you're not acting alone. Maybe some of your ex-military pals are in on it? We have record of one of your squad arriving not long ago. Simon Duna?
I haven't spoken to Simon since I left. And for the record, I was a communications officer. I spent most of my time fixing radio antennas, and Simon monitored supply lines. Neither of us even saw a weapon after basic training.
Save it. We have reports that Simon assisted the fugitive Kira Smith in boarding the Olympia earlier this morning. Then we have you attempting to infiltrate an event full of high-ranking Olympia officials. Your plan was to take one or more of those officials hostage, while the rest of your crew secured key points throughout the ship.
And what exactly was I going to take them hostage with? My brooch?
I'm sure you had something very clever planned. I'm told you were quite the genius when it came to your job with the military.
I was repairing radios, not organizing coups.
What do you know about frequency programming?
What, like those radio stations that repeat strings of numbers for hours on end?
That would be one example.
They're nothing special, just a way for a computer program to communicate whatever its function is. Why do you ask? Am I supposed to have rigged a program to subliminally take control of the pilot?
As a matter of fact...
Captain Andrew,
Yes, McLean?
there's someone here for you, sir, an Officer Langley. She says he requested she give you a direct report.
Very well. I'll be there in a moment.
Yes, sir.
I won't be gone long, but the recording will remain in progress if there is anything you'd like to confess. Please prepare to go into further detail on frequency programs when I return.
Like I'm going to confess to being insane enough to hijack a starliner single-handedly. My scheme may have been crazy, but I'm not certifiable. I thought I was done for. I hadn't told anyone where I was going, I had no way to contact anyone, and even if I did, they couldn't help me. Never in my life did I expect to be accused of something as insane as hijacking. Once I calmed down, I realized that my best way out of the situation was the same way I got in. The air vents. I used my chair to reach the vent on the ceiling, pulled off the cover, pulled myself up, and started trekking back towards the cargo bay. I swear this was easier before.
And did he seem anxious at all?
Yeah, but if he's telling the truth about being chased out of the office by some stranger, then that makes sense. He could just be a good actor, though.
Did you get the package?
No, he gave me a whole speech about how he couldn't hand over the package because of the chain of possession, blah blah blah. Seemed best to just leave it with him for the time being. I can go back and take it now if you want.
No, you are right to leave that alone for now. It will be a very bad look if we break the IFC chain of possession. Thank you for your report, Langley. That will be all.
Yes, sir. I almost forgot. I gave him a fixed frequency radio and told him to come running as soon as we called. Do you want to hold on to it?
Yes, I think it best that I keep that for now.
Here you go. Have a good day, sir.
Thank you, Langley.
Okay, Maura. Gotta keep moving.
This is Simon Duna. I'm in danger. Being taken to the bottom deck, please.
Simon? Hello? Simon? Are you still there? Simon, this is Maura Salvi. Please respond.
She can't have gone far. I want every room searched now. You're more resourceful than I thought, Maura Salvi. I wonder if you're mad enough to try and crawl all the way back through the vents again.
What is your command?
Locate Maura Salvi.
What is your command?
Locate Maura Salvi. Locate Maura Salvi in the vents.
What is your command?
Sir, I think we found her.
Lead the way.
Just keep moving, Maura. Whatever that was, it won't help you get out of this mess. Damn it. I held it in my teeth as I climbed back up into the vents. Knowing what I know now, I probably would have... Well, I don't know what I would have done. It looked like Andrew had just tried to contact someone on an oddly shaped radio, so that's what I assumed it was. Just a radio. Honestly, knowing what I know now, I probably would have still taken it. Actually, I definitely would have taken it. I made a lot of mistakes aboard the Olympia, but taking that strange little radio was not one of them. Maybe because it was one of the few moments I wasn't acting out of desperation? That's what really got me into this mess and nearly got me killed, desperation. What choice did I have? What else could I have done? I was backed into a corner. I had all these cliches have come to mind, and I haven't come up with a good answer to them. If I had a choice, then it was to run and abandon the Olympia, or stay and try to help. That's not a choice. It's a question of what allows you to sleep at night. My grandmother has always said that I have something of the old world inside me. It's just some saying that she picked up from her grandmother. Up until now, I thought it was a good thing, like I carried with me some sort of spirit of old Earth. Now I'm not so sure. They say things were desperate in the early days of the fleet, especially as the Starliners were leaving Earth. Maybe that's what it means, to have something of the old world inside me. Maybe I have some specter of that desperation humanity has been running from all this time. The Fleet is written, produced, and performed by Garrett Whiffen and Madia Medico, with additional voices from Caitlin Bryant. Like and subscribe for more. Follow us on Instagram at Misfit Peacock Productions. Man Down and Spatial Harvest by Kevin MacLeod. Licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 4.0 license. You can find more of Kevin MacLeod's music at incompetech.com. The Fleet is a podcast distributed by Misfit Peacock Productions and licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial Share-alike 4.0 international license. And to whoever needs to hear this, get some rest. You deserve it.